Government agencies, like all enterprises, are working hard to secure increasingly dynamic and highly distributed IT environments. For government security officials, the job of defending today's dynamic perimeter has also become increasingly complex. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and here to talk about how government agencies are keeping up with those challenges is Tony Plater, Chief Information Security Officer at the Department of Navy. Tony, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Wyatt, for inviting me.
So I'd like to start by asking, how is the Department of Navy and its evolution towards multi-cloud network environments shifting your view about the role of things like firewalls and perimeter defense?
I'll start by talking a little bit about what it means by this multi-cloud network environment and the shift. We've been accelerating our transition to cloud has been a priority. We know that modernization of our infrastructure as a prerequisite is key, and we've been working at doing that diligently. As you may be aware, the Department of Navy published a capstone design concept for information superiority, which reflects a goal of being able to securely move information from anywhere to anywhere. So a key concept. So in this design, in this environment for cloud, we've moved over 700,000 sailors and Marines to the cloud, and which is known as this DON flank speed environment, which is built in Microsoft Azure. Our flank speed implementation is pacing the DoD and representing a mature and secure cloud environment. So I'll talk a little bit. So what does it mean when we start talking about firewalls in relationship to now we talk about zero trust? The role of firewalls and perimeter defense is changing. In our legacy implementation of firewalls, our perimeter was based on security, intrinsically that it trusts everyone inside, suggesting that if anyone originates from inside a trusted private or network segment, that we could, it was free of malicious intent. But that former sense of trust and control evaporated, so the firewall policies were unable to keep up. So now we're changing. It's rapidly transforming our systems to escape those legacy thinking and legacy architecture. So we're embracing zero trust and taking the opportunity to ensure that modernization incorporates firewalls, but it comes from a different approach and a different perspective of how they're using our security architecture. We're more focused on zero trust coupling with network segmentation, which is a more effective model. So this ensures that we secure identities of the applications, the users, the hosts are all authenticated. So I'm seeing that a multi-cloud network environments scale dynamically in real time. So I need the role of firewall as well as changing as the perimeter has changed. And we have now started to implement and try to mature zero trust.
Well, I appreciate just the magnitude of what that involves, but I'd like to also explore a little bit about the increasing volume of traffic that agencies are facing, particularly at the Department of Navy. How has that increase in volume of traffic and the need to encrypt and decrypt traffic reshaping your views of what modern firewalls actually need to accomplish to facilitate all that data?
So when I refer to modern firewalls, I kind of refer to them as next generation firewalls, as we just kind of talked about the way we used firewalls and what the expectation continue to change. As we move more and more data, as we have attempted to move more and more information to the cloud, then firewalls take on a much more expanded role. We expect firewalls to be smarter than we had before. So we're always looking for how to use AI and ML within that capacity. When we talk about traditional firewalls, they have become less of a focal point in the enterprise network, in our enterprise security architecture for a variety of purposes. Ubiquitous use of mobile devices and cloud computing have expanded the traditional network perimeter, specifically the DON perimeter. So I see next generation firewalls versus our traditional or previous use of firewall as being deployed in support of hybrid cloud network security, offering consistent controls. And also, as you said, they must handle the volume of information that's being passed. As I mentioned earlier, one of the core tenets of our capstone and document is being able to share information anywhere, anytime. So we must employ our firewall technology that must be able to decrypt and encrypt large amounts of traffic at speed. So looking forward, firewalls will continue to look for the advancement and key technological developments of artificial intelligence and ML, and how we leverage and use them a little differently now that we look at our architecture differently as we approach zero trust.
Can you point a little bit toward how your infrastructure and security modernization efforts over the last year or two or so are really starting to pay off with a stronger or more dynamic perimeter security?
While we're not complete, we are focused on modernizing. If you've been following the Department of Navy, we have the Information Superiority Vision. And that vision has several pillars. Of course, one is based on innovation. We know we must innovate. The other is modernize. We know we must modernize. And of course, the pillar I'm responsible for is defend. So we are focused on modernizing. And cloud and mobile computing have all but blurred the traditional network perimeter. Mobile users access Microsoft 365. They access our software as a service, our SaaS applications and cloud-based applications. And in many cases, we're now allowing where we never touch internal networks. We have increased remote users, and these remote users go and access the cloud as needed. So all of that has led to a much more dynamic perimeter. And it requires us to take an approach to cybersecurity or network security that accounts for that. And to give you an example, this is very evident in the case of our flank speed implementation, which is a Dawn cloud-based system that I mentioned earlier. This Microsoft 365 implementation is serving as our North Star. This flank speed zero trust solution, which incorporates many of the zero trust capabilities, and because of course zero trust is a destination, uses Microsoft Defender Endpoint, which provides near real-time awareness of aberrant network behavior. So we're better positioned to identify breaches. So all of this is playing into how we view security. It plays into our strategy and roadmap for ultimately maturing zero trust throughout the enterprise, and it's providing us near real-time awareness of the unwanted events on the network. So all of that is playing into giving us a better picture of what we have on the network, a better picture of what's changing on our network, and I think this is really paying off and giving us a stronger, more dynamic defense enabled by a more dynamic perimeter.
And lastly, Tony, you alluded to zero trust initiatives. Can you talk a little bit about how the coordinated efforts at DoD and within Navy around zero trust, how particularly around network environments, how is that reshaping your top security priorities, let's say in the coming year?
So I think, when I talk about zero trust, and I think of all of the many tenets of zero trust, least privilege, only granting access to authenticated users' devices. Many of these we've talked about have been cybersecurity objectives, but the zero trust and the executive order and the emphasis by governors have now become a catalyst for getting those things done and for moving forward. So understanding now that it's a directive has helped us to reshape our security priorities. And when we couple zero trust couple that with threat-informed decision-making, understanding what the actual threats are on our network, understanding our attack surface, all this gives us now a better roadmap and priority for how we're going to undertake modernization of our network and those cybersecurity requirements. We've been working very closely with the DoD Zero Trust Portfolio Management Office, which helping us to make sure We are in sync with the capabilities that are required of Zero Trust, what those activities that are listed in the DoD Zero Trust strategy. And we have been an advocate for making sure that the Zero Trust strategy accounts for our disconnected, communication constrained DDoS environments. And for weapon systems, because as you know, in each one of those environments, there'll be slightly differences in how you meet and address Zero Trust. But equally, when we start talking about our enterprise solution, we built that whole Zero Trust environment from a greenfield that underpins our operations and flank speed. And we're working very hard to expand our naval identity service, which we refer to as NIST. Each of these makes a compelling case for why we think we're moving in the right direction as we continue to shift from a network-centric approach to a data-centric approach. And all of this is in line with high coordination with the DoD CIO.
Well, Tony Plater, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your insights about your efforts around improving security and network modernization at the Department of Navy. Really appreciate it and appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you for the opportunity.